Okay, here we are. It is starting on the second week in December. We got a video I've been hesitant to shoot, and you'll see why, I guess. But this is where we're at. We had been getting ready. We removed the bulkhead here to get access into the basement, start digging and excavating in there and kind of finish off what needs to happen to start construction down there, new footings and all that jazz as we've described in the past. So this was basically just a ramp to get the larger equipment in and the rest of the equipment from the basement, like the boiler and those oil tanks and such, out, along with all that, the boulder and the rocks and stuff like that. So that got done. You see all the windows are out. Caught a little snow. It's to be expected during construction, so that's not a big deal. The front face obviously lost the clapboards as we were planning to do. They were kind of rotted and had been scabbed in. They were clearly not original. Tar paper underneath it here kind of is evidence to that. But the tar paper does not go under the details here that we're going to be saving. That bottom skirt board is almost definitely not original. Based on the nails, they're round nails. They're rusted out. So that's going to go, as well as the top trim board, where the bottom of the frieze there. It's chipped out around the windows when the window casings came off. So that flat stock will get replaced, but all the trim is coming down next to salvage, and I think it's all just going to get mounted onto some plywood and go right into the barn, into the garage there. Should be long enough to get just about everything, not the longest rope detail, but as it's coming off, it's likely not to be one solid piece anyway, so we may be able to break that down into several pieces and get it back over covered and flat and ready to strip paint and put paint back on and ready to go back up. The whole front door will come off as an assembly. All the detail, all of it all at once. So we are waiting to do that probably next week. We'll get all this trim off of here. Coming around the back side, the demo was done for what was the old shed and concrete pad of the garage there. A number of these big slabs of granite have been saved. This is all just concrete here, but these are the granite steps that came from over here. There's some more granite in that small pile right in the center of the screen now. And actually, I think there's a slab out there near the woods. I don't know if you can see that. So we're saving all that granite and gonna piece it back in. You can kind of see the condition of things out here hasn't changed a whole lot. Coming around the side here. This has not changed much either. And that kind of brings us to the major issue that we've run into, and the mostly decision that we've made. I say mostly because we haven't really told anybody and come up with a plan about how to execute this the best way possible. But the issue is that this whole back, remember the back half of the house is a crawl space. It's not really worth going in. It's going to be dark in there, and well, maybe I'll try to shoot that as well. But the whole back of the half of the house, or a third of the house, is a crawl space, about 10 or 12 feet deep. Deep off the back of the house toward the middle of the house. And So from inspecting on the outside, it doesn't look like much is different from the rest of the house. And we were, able to peel some back before we started construction. We felt pretty good about it, that it was built the same way as everything else. As it turns out, that's not the case, and it's kind of a worst case scenario. So these granite slabs here in the back half at the crawl space were built, I don't know if it was an after the fact or a plan change. A lot of the houses that had the brick ends like this in town aren't as deep as this, not nearly. And so maybe this was going to be a porch or something, and then they turned it into and closed it into the house, or it was just done like this and it was fine. But essentially what they did is as they were digging this out, they just dug a few inches, maybe as much as 18 inches, and threw the loose stones that they found while they were digging into that trench and put these granite slabs on top of that. So there's no chance that frost has not been getting under here. This is why we see recent work here, and then that recent work has cracked again between those stones as they're going up and down every freeze-thaw cycle. And we see rotting wood back here, and we struck some lines and just took a look at what was going on from corner to corner, front to back. And the middle of this wall, kind of right where the screen is now, is about 6 inches lower, not quite 6 inches lower than the corners. And you can kind of see it here, how it swings down and then carries back up. But it is low. It actually, now that it's frozen outside, it might have lifted back up. But there was a big issue with the floors here as well. It looks like they did a repair of the sill at one time or another, but it was only kind of a partial repair. And at that time they filled with a lot more mortar to kind of pad it up because of how much it had sunk. And it's just, if it were built like this and stable over the last 200 years, that would be one thing. But we're seeing a number of problems, including the dropping of the stones and the rotting of the sill back here, even though it was covered with the porch. So it's not a good combination of problems to have. There are possible solutions, kind of high-tech solutions that we could try to do from the outside, including injecting some foam material to kind of raise the stones up, kind of lift them that way. That would require taking all the load off of the house and essentially kind of jacking the back half of the house up while we're doing that. That's not a viable solution to the bricks, where the bricks are on top of the stones on the ends of the house. So we don't know what could be done there, really. We could do a kind of a shallow, frost-protected foundation outside of this one, so like a foot away from the wall on the outside. You'd pour a new wall, kind of, and with kind of foam and make sure that frost could not penetrate deeper, and it would stabilize it. It would probably drop some to settle in now that it's not moving up and down. But then it should be stable. But that doesn't fill me full of confidence to just kind of have the back half of the house built on sand. The other thing that's just kind of striking to me, and I don't know if anybody else had ever noticed this, but the whole house just has always felt to me, I thought it was maybe the grade in the front. The whole house just seems to be tipping back, like it's tipped back, and upon measuring it, we got the tripod out and had the equipment out here. From this corner to this, so from the front corner to this back corner, has dropped a ton. You can see a crack right there. There's where in the brick, that is where the back half of the foundation begins, the other, the crawl space. So right there, boom, it is falling away, and you can see that crack continue all the way up the house. So we knew this coming in. We thought that might be the case. We were hoping that it was just a settling thing, because yeah, it was done a little differently, but we were hoping they went down 4 feet, and it's not even 18 inches in places. So we can't leave that. We're not going to build a brand new house on top of sand. The repair job is complicated if we were to repair it from the outside, because of, well, we've got 2 different tanks in the ground right behind the house here. 2 septic tanks, probably the original cistern and then the newer leach field tank, or the first tank, the septic tank before it went out to the distribution box, and there's an actual leach field back here. So we'd have to actually dig up and remove those tanks, which is expensive, and a day of excavation, and not to mention gross. It also disturbs all the soil here. So we'd have to go, even though we really only need to go down 4 feet or so to stop frost, it is almost certain that we'd be deeper than that because of where the tanks are, and we'd have disturbed soil, and we'd want to go down to undisturbed soil. So there's a whole unknown there about what we're going to uncover when we start doing this. And undoubtedly it's going to be lower, more digging, and a deeper depth than we're going to have planned for, and it's just all going to be unknown. So that's one thing. Second thing is this stretch where it's supposed to connect to the family room that we had planned out here is another mystery. So we can't wrap it in the same way because we're going to have a new foundation over here. I think we'd probably end up doing things out of order, and maybe doing the new one first and then coming back and doing the repair work and hoping that things don't settle in a strange way and crack. So that's a real thing. And then the last piece is, even though we're not going to be doing the breezeway and garage over here right away, we are going to be doing it. And so whatever repair we make along the end over here after this is taken down, that's going to be there and in the way of whatever foundation or system we use for the breezeway to connect the garage to the house. So that's another complication, similar to what we got going on over there, but we can't do that first. It's not in our budget. We were not planning on doing the breezeway at this time, so it would be out of order again. Long story short, there's no good option here. There's nothing good that can happen. Along with all of those kind of exterior plans, there's the stuff that has to happen inside. So we have to take a look from the inside as well, I guess. Let me get inside and we'll take a look from there. And I guess this will become a 2-part video. So here we go.